Gananam tva ganapatigum havamahe kavim kavinam upamasravastamam jistadacham brahmam brahmaspatana srivanuti vishiri sadanam. Hey, I'm Tracy. Today's practice, we're going to be developing our ability to perpetually meditate. A typical meditation practice is one where we perpetually impose concentration on the mind. We try and redirect, which is a great way to develop a meditative state. Today, however, we're going to do the exact opposite. We're going to change the nature and the caliber of our default mental state so that we can concentrate, and deep concentration inevitably leads to a meditative state. So for those of you who are familiar with Patanjali and the 8 limbs of yoga that he introduced, the different aspects of yoga interrelate, but they also build on each other, with the 6th and 7th limbs or steps being concentration and meditation. And the 8th is bliss, which is the ultimate aim of doing any of this. So as you're going through the asana, the pranayama, the meditation practices today, remember our goal is bliss. So we've been doing some practices over the last few weeks. We're going to keep building on those, and we're going to add a little bit more to each of them. The idea here being that we are changing the underlying foundation of the way our mind works so that concentration is effortless, that our minds are perpetually more focused and concentrated. And then that inevitably leads to a meditative state. All right, so let's get started. We'll chant Om Namo Gurudev Namo to tune in. Let's start to settle into getting ready for class. So close your eyes. Actively let go of the other activities, the other important or unimportant things in your life that might be pulling your mind away from what you're doing right now. They will still be there waiting for you when we're done. With the eyes closed, shift your focus into your body, and possibly for those who have been practicing for a while, you can instantaneously be aware of the periphery of your body, the entire periphery of your body simultaneously. Do your best to feel the entirety of your body, the physical limits of your body right now. There is so much free-floating uncertainty and anxiety right now. Let's go ahead and do our best to counter that by creating a sense of groundedness in the physical body. Feel heavier, cultivate a sense of heaviness in your lower extremities, the feet, the legs, the buttocks, the pelvis. As though gravity were working more profoundly in that part of your body. You can imagine that your body turns to stone or is rooted down into the ground. Put one hand on top of your head. Keeping the grounded base, now lengthen through the entirety of your spine, resisting slightly downward with the hand on your head, and lengthening your entire spine upwards. Release your hand back down. Let's do a few purging breaths, inhaling and sighing out. Letting go on the physical plane. Letting go on the mental plane. Or letting go on the emotional plane. Good. And now we'll chant. Rub the palms together. We'll do the chant on a single breath. One more inhale to start. Om Namo Guru Deva Namo. Om Namo Guru Deva Namo. Om Namo Guru Deva Namo. Great. Inhale. Take the pelvic floor deeper into the body. Repeat that lengthening through the spine as though you still had a hand on the top of your head, and slightly drop your chin. Good. Relax. Okay. Any part of a good yoga practice, a good yoga session, is to do some forward bending and backward bending of the spine. So I'll give you 3 different options. You might even come up with a different one on your own. You can hold on to the ankles, the shins, and inhale forward, exhale back, with the purpose of alternating forward bending and backward bending. So typically in a yoga session, it will be structured so that anytime you do a forward bend, you follow it by a backward bend, or vice versa. So think about these as 2 different asanas following each other, counter poses for each other. Great, so you might want to keep going just like that. You may prefer to come onto your hands and knees, cat-cow. If you do so, make sure that your arms extend straight down from your shoulders, and your knees and thighs extend straight down from your hips. Again, thinking about this as 2 counter poses, stretching the front of the body, stretching the back of the body. Or you may even want to do a more large scale, full movement of your body, going back and forth between down dog and up dog. But remembering, if you're going to do this bigger body move, you're trying to get the entirety of the spine alternating in each direction. So you've got to have the core strength to be able to do it. So keep going for a little bit longer with whichever version is working for you, or you might shift in between. Great, come back to neutral. We're going to cross our right ankle over our left leg. So that might be with your leg out straight, or you can start working your foot in towards your body. So stretching into the hip. This next series of 6 or so postures is going to be working on the hips, with the idea that it will make it easier for us to sit in a meditative pose totally still, because the ultimate goal is to be in bliss. Okay, so keep bringing the left foot closer and closer to your hips so that you get more flex in the right hip. So just figure out where this is for you today. Where is that is the best positioning of the two legs. And you might remember that we've been doing a lot of this, where we cross one ankle over the other and move the hip through its range of motion. So you can do that down. You can do that here as well, if that works out for you, as long as you don't feel any pain in your knee. So I've shown a lot of variations. Play around with this. I'll give you enough time to find what works for you. You may want to do a static stretch. You may want to do some movement. Just remembering the goal is to get this part of the hip warmed up, increased range of motion, increased flexibility, increased ease in our ability to sit. Great. Go ahead and take that foot up, uncross it, set it on the floor, pull your heel towards your bottom a little bit, and then release. And let's do the other side. So you can start with your leg out, and then work it closer and closer towards your body. So working the left hip, and again, figure out what is your body's craving. Great, and then slide the right leg out, uncross the left foot, pull the left heel towards your hip, and then extend the leg out straight. We're going to do some more stretching of the hips, left heel towards your right hip, and then cross your right foot over the left knee. So we're going to move towards cow face pose, and that might look really different depending on what's going on with your hips. So the first step is to get that left heel as close to your hip as you can. And then you just keep working that right foot over time, further and further up your leg until it gets to the same spot on your left hip. That may not happen today, it may not happen this lifetime, but just remember that's where you're aiming towards, with the knees stacked right up above each other. So in this position, we're going to do a variation on breath of fire. We're going to take it nice and slow because it's still really hot outside, and we don't want to overheat ourselves, get too aggravated. Extend your tongue out. Have the movement of the breath be purely directed by the movement of the belly. So squish the belly in to force air out. Suck the belly out to get air to come in. If you're feeling really comfortable with that, you can take your tongue in, go in and out through your nose, although going over the tongue will make it a little bit cooler. Reminding yourself that the action of the air going in and out is purely from the belly, moving forward, moving back. Keep going a little bit longer, and as you're doing so, keep working those feet, working each heel closer to the opposite hip, and possibly even taking your hands and helping to adjust the feet so that the soles of the feet are facing towards the ceiling. Perfect. Inhale. Take the entirety of the pelvic floor as though it were a dome shape and pull the dome deeper in your body. Exhale. Slide the right foot out until you can get that leg straight. Slide the left leg out, bounce your knees up and down. And let's do the opposite. So make enough space so you can take your right heel over to the opposite hip. And then start to position the other foot wherever is going to work for you today. Good. Let's go ahead and do Satali Pranayama now to cool down a little bit. So extending the tongue out. Inhaling over the cool, moist tongue, allowing that to cool down the whole body. And then strong exhale out the nose as though you're trying to get all the heat out. Great, keep going like that and continue working the both heels to get towards the opposite hip to whatever extent you can today. If you're feeling like you'd like to continue with the breath of fire rather than this cooling variation of breath, then do that. This cow face pose can put a little stress into the thighs, into the hips. It can trigger your body to want to tense up in resistance. Continually use the breath and use your concentration to tell your body it's okay and that it can relax. And then back off as much of the pose as you need to so that you do feel on the cutting edge of where you're stretching, but also where you're not creating any tension. Okay, great. We're gonna push ourselves just a tiny bit deeper into the pose. So if your knees are already stacked, you can fold forward over your knees. If they're not stacked, then just push them closer towards that position. Great. Straighten out the right leg, straighten out the left, bounce your knees up and down. All right, we're gonna do butterfly pose next. So slide your heels towards your body. See how far they come naturally. Where's the natural stopping point? And then soles of the feet come together, knees come out. Hold on to your ankles if you can. Otherwise, if you need to still be leaning back, use your arms to support you, and we'll butterfly the hips up and down. Okay, so we're gonna let the knees relax. If you can, push into the little toe side of your feet. Push them into each other. So the side that's closest to the floor, push that side of your feet into each other to help the knees go closer to the ground. If you can also bring yourself any degree further forward, do that. And then upright. Help your knees come straight back up. Extend the legs, bounce them out. Okay, next we're going to do a squat. So you might want to do this against the wall, or you might want to put something under your heels if you know you typically need that. So bringing your feet in. If it's challenging to get all the way down into a squat, then be up higher. In fact, let's go through a little bit of range of motion to help limber up the hips. So up and down. Great, and then settle down into whatever your lowest position is. It can be nice to put your hands into prayer pose and use the elbows to push your knees wider apart. If you're down in this position, then keep trying to lift your chest. Good. Use your hands to drop onto your bottom. And we'll come onto the back, knees still bent. And we'll do a little bit of internal rotation. So take your right knee towards your left foot. If you want to drop both knees to the side, you can. Play around with it. See where you get the most release in your right hip. If you like, you can stack your left foot on top of your right knee to get a little more leverage. You can also reach your right arm away from your hip or out to the side. You could even reach your left arm towards your right. Good. Okay, unravel yourself. Left knee towards the right foot. Figure out where you are going to get the most benefit out of the pose. Make whatever additional alignment corrections, additional enhancements work out best for you. Unraveling yourself, moving towards happy baby, wherever that is for you, holding onto shins, ankles, or outsides of the feet, and taking the knees towards the armpits. Do a little bit of spinal flexion with the low back, seeing again where you get the most benefit, what position gives you the most benefit. Try moving both legs towards straight. Bring them back in. Try one side, straightening, and then the other. Great, and then release. And roll over back to hands and knees. Take your knees as wide as you can, keeping your balance, and take the soles of your feet together. So this might be more comfortable down on your forearms, whichever one. Adopt that one for yourself. And then we're going to move deeper into opening the hips. So you'll slide your upper body forward and you can lift your feet away from the ground. You might need to ease off of that and then come back into it. Okay, great. Let's do one more preparatory practice. This will help with lung capacity because we're going to do some good long pranayama practice. This one will be on the belly. Ideally, you'll do this with the breath held in. If you have high blood pressure, you could do it with the breath held out. All right, low buddy on the ground. The top sides of the feet pushing into the floor a little bit. Interlace your fingers behind you if you can, otherwise hold on to opposite wrists. Deep inhale. Hold the breath, scoop up on Mul Bandh, and then raise up. You're using the strength of your spine to hold you up, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on the upper part of your abdomen and maybe where your low ribs are. When you're ready to breathe, lower down, exhale. If you need to let your breath rate come back to normal, give it a chance to do so. And then come back up when you're ready. Deep inhale, and then coming up. So there's a lot of pressure on the abdominal organs. They're being smushed, but you've still taken a full bit of air in. So this puts upward pressure on the diaphragm while it's trying to descend. And this will eventually release tension in your diaphragm. When you're ready, come down, exhale. This is a somewhat unpleasant posture, so mix it up if you need to. You can do some other things. Inhale and come up. You can maybe do some wiggling side to side. You can do it like a superhero. You can do it with your arms in cactus arm. This is also one of the few postures where you can actually get some massage of your heart. Let's do 2 more. Pick whatever posture you want. Good. Roll over onto your back. Tighten every muscle in your body. So that might mean you come up into boat pose, or you may still be on the ground. Wherever you are, tighten everything. Compress, 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 tighten. And then when you let go, relax in a way that's deeper and more profound than you would have before. Okay, excellent. Make your way up. In a seated position, go ahead and put your put a couple of fingers over your wrist and feel your pulse. If you're having a hard time, you could also try at the neck. We're trying to tap into the rhythm of our heartbeat. We've been working with Nadi Shodhana, alternate nostril breathing, for a while. And as you know, it's great to have a consistent beat or rhythm to work to help coordinate the ratios of the breath. And today, let's tap into the rhythm of our heart to create that pace. Keep focusing on the beat of your heart, on the pulse, in the wrist or in the neck. There'll be 2 phases to the Nadi Shodhana practice today. The first phase is about 5 minutes, and it's a more simple alternate nostril breathing. And then we move to a longer segment where we have a holding the breath in. Maintaining this sense of the rhythm of the heart, we'll start our Nadi Shodhana practice. So you can put either hand, index and middle finger at the forehead, and the ratio will be the inhale half as long as the exhale. So that can be 3 beat inhale, 6 beat exhale, 4 to 8, 5 to 10, 6 to 12. See what feels natural for you. Wonderful. Just keep going. Relax into the practice. Let the fingers resting in between the eyebrows help you build an awareness of that spot, of the brow point spot. We inhale through one nostril, exhale through the other. Inhale through that same nostril, exhale through the other. Imagining the beat of your heart, keeping the rhythm, keeping the ratio. We're going to shift now to the Nadi Shodhana with a hold after the inhale. A lot of times at this point I'll switch and use the other hand so that my arms don't get too tired. But if your arms are the limitation to you being able to do the practice, try relaxing on your back or try holding your elbow with the other hand. So here we go. We're going to shift now to having the inhale be quite short. 1 beat inhale. And then hold the breath, retain the breath in for 4 beats. And exhale out the opposite nostril for 2. Quick, powerful, 1 beat in. Hold the breath in for 4. And then out the opposite side, 2 beats. Keep going like this until you feel totally comfortable with the ratio. If it feels natural, you can shift to a 1 second inhale, the breath staying in for 6 beats. Exhale the opposite nostril for 4 beats. Great, keep going. A nice addition that you can make is while you're holding your breath, you might want to hold both nostrils closed. You'll see why this works in naturally as you advance with your practice. What you should notice from doing this is that you feel calmer the longer that you keep going. If you feel any struggle with retaining the breath or controlling the inhale or exhale, you need to go to a different ratio. So a reminder, the first level of ratio would be 1, 4, 2. Then you would move to 1, 6, 4. And once that is absolutely easeful and effortless, you can move to 1 inhale, 8 second hold in, 6 second exhale. A lot of you may have automatically started to use Ujjayi breath and Kichari Mudra with the tongue. Excellent, that's great. Another little trick, once you get to these longer holds in, if you have any trouble at all when it gets to the exhale, just do a tiny little sniff in. Before starting the exhale, it kind of releases the muscular contractions and makes the exhale easier. Over time, we'll actually start to increase the ratio, doubling the length of it. And if you are really comfortable, you can start to incorporate Jalandhara Bandha during the hold. Gets a little more complicated and you really have to concentrate to remember where your hand should go and which nostril you should breathe in and out of. If you would like, just follow my instructions and we'll do one together. Single beat inhale. Hold the breath in and drop your hands to your knees. Push down with your hands so that your shoulders come up, and try and squish your throat closed a little bit. Release your head and neck. Release the hands pushing down. If you need to take a tiny sniff in, do that. And then exhale out the opposite nostril. Inhale. Jalandhara Bandha. A little sniff in, and then exhale out the other nostril. You're doing a fantastic job. If you would like to keep going for 2 more minutes, keep going. But if you have had enough, you can relax on your back. More than likely, you instinctively engaged Mulband every time you were doing Jalandhara Bandha. If you didn't, then go ahead and actively use Mulband at the same time that you're doing Jalandhara Bandha. After the next exhale, stop the practice. You can relax on your back for a minute, or if you're feeling great sitting upright, stay sitting upright. If you have any questions about your Nadi Shodhana alternate nostril breathing practice, I have 4 or 5 separate videos that take you through different levels of the practice. And also you can just shoot me an email and I'm happy to answer the questions that way as well. And now we're going to do the meditation practice. I'll talk about a couple of things so that you have a chance to get yourself set up. We're going to use Tritaka just like we have done the last 2 weeks, but we're going to add an additional component at the end. So if you enjoy using the yantras that I sent out last week, you can set yourself up with that. Otherwise, a candle is a great, really engaging focal point to use. But really, what you want is something that you are compelled to gaze at. If it's a $100 bill, that is just fine. Pick whatever is going to work well for you and set yourself up for meditating with it. The way that we'll do that is to have it taped or propped at a level so that the center of the object is right at the level of your brow point. And that if you reached your arm out, your index finger could touch the object of meditation. Over time, as you practice with Tritaka, the eyes can stay open without blinking for longer and longer. At first, you're going to blink a lot, and that's okay. Just know that over time, that will naturally develop. And as you extend the length of time that you're able to do Tritaka, you want your eyes to be able to stay very still and focused. So if there's any flickering in your eyes or in your vision, that means you need to stay at that level until you add any levels of complexity. All right, so get yourself ready to do the practice. You can adopt any hand mudra that you like. And if you want to be teacher's pet, you can put your heel into your perineum sitting in Siddhasana, or choose half lotus if you like. Before we begin, we're going to introduce a deep stillness in the physical body. So close your eyes. This practice is like you're turning yourself into a stone statue. So you start down with your feet and make your feet feel as still and heavy and permanent as a stone statue. And you just creep that sensation up through your legs, your pelvis, your buttocks, the groin, abdomen. Notice that it actually feels good. Notice that there's no resistance to the practice. Continue this up through your hands, wrists, forearms, upper arms, shoulders, all the way up through the torso, neck, head, eyes, Just enjoy that stillness. The stillness in our physical body allows our mind to also calm and quiet. Resist any temptation to move for the next bit of time. Now open your eyes and gaze towards your chosen object. You'll find your own way to allow your eyes to relax and gaze as you develop your own, as you increase the length of time that you can sit. So don't stress out about what your eyes are doing now. When you need to blink, blink, but try and stretch out the amount of time between your blinks as you can. Eventually you'll be able to have your eyes open for a minute, even longer. And then go ahead and close your eyes and look at the after image When you can no longer see the after image, you repeat the whole process. Open your eyes, gaze directly at the center point of your chosen object. If it's a candle, look at the wick. Try not to blink or move your eyes in any way. Be totally absorbed in your candle flame or your yantra. If other thoughts come up, let them come, be aware of them, and just remind yourself that you're practicing Tritaka. Alternating between having your eyes opened and gazing until they become too fatigued, and then close your eyes and keep trying to see the after image. Have it be at either the level of your brow point, or for some people they prefer to have it to be right at the center of their chest, in front of Anahata chakra. Sometimes you can pull the image back up after it's faded. But when you can no longer see it anymore, again, open the eyes, continue the process. If you feel ready to add an additional level of complexity to the practice, go ahead and perform Kichari Mudra. So that's where you take your tongue up onto the roof of your mouth and as far back as it will go. Now become aware of your breath. You might use Ujjayi Pranayama, that slightly raspy breath, so that you can simultaneously be aware of both the focus of your meditation and your breath. You'll use your imagination. While breathing in, imagine that you are drawing breath from your focal point, say your candle flame, right through your eyebrow center, piercing the eyebrow center and through to the back of your head. You have to split your awareness so that it dwells both on your focal point and the movement of the breath. Be aware of the sound of your breath. When you breathe out, you have to imagine that the breath flows from the back of your head, pierces the eyebrow center, and then returns to the focus on your candle flame or your yantra. Your eyes should not flicker. Carry on breathing in and out as you try to feel, to imagine the air moving backwards and forwards from the flame tip, from your yantra, through the eyebrow center to the back of the head and vice versa. Simultaneously be aware of the breath and its sound. Eventually, if you practice with enough intensity and awareness, you'll find that the air seems to naturally and actually move along the path between the flame and the back of the head. Your eyes are open for the entirety of this part of the practice. We will add another layer. If you feel ready, do so. If not, continue as you are, or even go back to opening and closing the eyes, looking for the after image. If you have not been able to see an after image up until now, then definitely continue with that first practice, opening the eyes and gazing, and then closing the eyes and cultivating that after image. If, however, you have been able to see an after image once the eyes are closed, now go ahead, continuing with the breath, continuing with listening to the breath. Gaze at your after image with the eyes closed. Be aware of the internal image and the breath. If the image is not terribly clear, don't worry, just be aware of whatever you can. As you breathe in, feel the breath moving backwards from the flame in front of your closed eyes to the back of your head. Try to feel that you're drawing the image backwards. As you breathe out, imagine that the breath is being pushed forward. Inhale and almost pull the image and the breath backwards towards the center of your head. Exhale and push the image and the breath forwards. All the time, awareness should be on the image and the breath. Continue with Kachari Mudra and Ujjayi Pranayama. Whenever you lose the after image, simply open your eyes and continue like in the previous stage, gazing towards the image. When you feel ready, closing the eyes and inhaling, pulling the after image from the brow point deep into the center of the head to the actual location of Ajna Chakra, and then back out as you exhale. Imagine that the sound of the breath arises from the movement to and fro through the head. Opening the eyes and gazing at your image whenever you have lost the after image of it inside of your closed eyes. Now stop the practice. And let your eyes stay closed. There may be dancing images across the black space in front of the closed eyes. Simply be a witness to any thoughts or psychic visions that may arise. If you're ready to relax, you can do so. If you have another minute or so in you, then we'll move to the final practice, which is Shambhavi Mudra. Shambhu, the word that it's derived from, means super consciousness, and that is what we were moving towards. Bring your index finger towards the tip of your nose and gaze towards it. You may be able to see two distinct fingertips. Gazing towards the fingertip, raise the finger to the level of the brow point, which we were just piercing with our breath, and gaze upwards towards the fingertips, perhaps seeing two still. You may be able to do this without using your fingertips, and the eyebrows will create a very broad, open V shape. It's kind of like the image of a bird in the distance flying, that big arched V shape looking up. Over time, you may develop the ability to do this with as much discipline and contraction with the eyes closed. You can do that if you can maintain the same degree of contraction of the eyes. Keep going just a little bit longer. Through this expanded awareness, we become able to see the significance and essence behind everything. Hold it for just another few seconds. Then relax your eyes, keep them closed. And now, without any effort whatsoever, inquire about your true nature. What is your essential self? All right, let's rub the hands together till they're hot. Cup them over the eyes, allow the fingertips to overlap at the brow point. You might even put a little pressure there to help release tension. And then soothe your face by letting your fingers draw down over your cheeks. Let's do that 2 more times. Get your hands nice and hot. Cup them over the eyes and the third eye. Ah, good. Caress your cheeks, chin. Final time. Great. Fantastic. Okay. Let's go ahead and chant one long Sat Nam to end our practice. encourage you to keep up with the pranayama and tritaka practice this week, noticing the benefits of doing it on a daily basis. Next week and for the few weeks after that, we're going to shift to something different and as our focal point, although with the ultimate goal still always being bliss. I'll see you next time. Sat Nam.